This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Hontiveros. We have a special presentation for you tonight. President Duterte declares the liberation of Marawi from the hands of ISIS-inspired Maute terrorists after 148 days of fighting. Let's speak now to our George Quiles live from Marawi City. George, what are the implications of the president's declaration?
Well, with the symbolic declaration of Marawi's liberation, President Duterte says they can now go full blast with the rehabilitation of the war-torn city. And the military will begin the next phase, which is the damage assessment. Now, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana earlier placed a cost at 100 billion pesos. Pia.
And the basis of the declaration?
Well, the death of terrorist leaders Isnilon Hapilon and Omar Maute was the turning point. In fact, the military believes that they have crippled the enemies big time when the two leaders were killed. Authorities also believe the presence of a few remaining enemy forces can now be considered a law enforcement matter and is not considered a serious threat to the government's rebuilding and rehabilitation of Marawi City.
Law enforcement matter, ha? So, fighting still ongoing, pockets of resistance. Ano yung plano ngayon ng military? I mean, the forces there, the units are still going to stay put, right?
Yes, the military says with the Declaration of Liberation, it's a strategic statement on the part of the government, and they estimate there still be up to 30 Maute group stragglers in the area, including up to 8 foreign fighters in the war zone. Some 20 hostages are still believed to be trapped as well. So among the foreign fighters is another known terrorist leader, Mahmoud Ahmad, a Malaysian national who is believed to have financed the siege and is the point person for ISIS recruitment in Southeast Asia. So the game plan is still to neutralize the remaining fighters and rescue the remaining civilians inside the main battle area. Pia.
George Quiles there reporting live from Marawi. After 148 days of fighting, President Duterte declares Marawi City is finally free. But it comes with a cost. Over 160 soldiers give up their lives, 47 civilians dead in the crossfire. The battle against ISIS-inspired Maute fighters forced hundreds of thousands out of their homes and left the city devastated. Now, what lies ahead is the daunting task of recovering and rebuilding from the ruins of war. Let's speak with our senior correspondent, David Santos. David, what's next for the battle-torn city?
Well, Pia, the first thing national officials did shortly after the president's declaration from inside the war zone was meet with the Marawi stakeholders. Now, they are local government officials, members of the Lanao Sultanate, as well as leaders from Marawi's different sectors. Now, many of these officials were not at ground zero this afternoon, so they did not witness the president's declaration. So they were raising a lot of questions, but basically like what you asked, where will Marawi go from here? Now, many of them, in many words, did express their gratitude to the national government and security forces as well for regaining control of Marawi.
Masaya kami na natapos na ho. I would say natapos na kasi ang kanilang mga leaders ay namatay na ho at yung ba naman ay siguro low moral na sila dyan sa loob. And malungkot dahil nakita natin na sa loob ng Ground Zero, nakita natin ang laki ng pinsala na naidulot ng kaguluhan dito sa Marawi City. And I know that mas malaki pa hong problema ang harapin namin, itong rehabilitation and reconstruction.
But before efforts here in Marawi could shift to rehabilitation and reconstruction, like the mayor was saying, pursuit operations for the last pockets of Maute and ISIS will continue, as well as rescue the remaining hostages. Now, Armed Forces Chief Eduardo Año, who will retire later this month, describes the president's declaration as, quote, a great relief. Now, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says government forces in Marawi will now be repositioned. Only 6 Army and Marine battalions from about 15 will remain in Marawi to secure and assist the rehabilitation phase. Now, Lorenzana seems pretty confident that compared to the previous months, the Maute group can no longer regroup and conduct more attacks.
Well, sa dami ng napatay natin na almost 800, mukhang na-degrade sila ngayon. Tingnan natin ngayon kung makakapag-recruit pa sila ng bago. Yan ang babantayan natin sa mag-recruit ng bago rito, sa Central Mindanao, Basilan na sa Kasulo, saka sa Zamboanga. But sa tingin ko, talagang nasaktan sila rito. Konti na lang sila.
Well, what remains now are the stragglers, about 30, less than 30, and it can be considered as a law enforcement matter. They do not constitute a serious threat anymore, but we will still continue to hunt and get all of them. But we need the support of the people now, especially in providing us information.
The President's declaration also gives way for the conduct of the post-conflict needs assessment, which is a government requirement to facilitate the release of rehabilitation funding. Now, a consolidated Marawi rehab plan drafted by local officials here has an initial tag price of about 70 billion pesos. It will be submitted to Malacanang within the week. Pia.
David Santos there reporting live from Marawi. Since fighting broke out in Marawi City, hundreds of thousands of residents have fled the war. Some of them sought refuge here in Metro Manila. Our Makoy Popioco got to speak to them. He reports us live from Quiapo, Manila. Makoy, how is the Muslim community reacting to this news of Marawi's liberation?
Hi, Pia. Well, I must say I sensed happiness among the residents that I talked to here, but the overall feeling that I got from them was relief. Relief because finally the war is almost over, and that soon enough they will get to see their beloved hometown, Marawi City. This Muslim community around the Golden Mosque here in Quiapo, Manila has become a temporary refuge to a lot of evacuees from Marawi City. I came back to see 47-year-old Amida Amirol, who fled Marawi sometime in June. She said she hopes her family could go back to their house in the city as soon as possible. The Imam of Golden Mosque, Haji Mod Ersad Mali, says the entire Muslim community in Quiapo feels hopeful about the news on the liberation of Marawi. Mali says, like him, most of the Muslims in this community are also evacuees who fled conflicts in different parts of Mindanao. Mali says his family fled the conflict in Sulu in the 1970s. While most of the people here feel happy, their joy is subdued. They say they would rather reserve their celebrations until the time their families are finally able to rebuild their houses, regain the livelihood and everything that was destroyed by the war in Marawi.
Masaya, lahat ng Muslim dito masaya. Regardless of tribe, Maranao, Maguindanao, Tausug, regardless tayo lahat, masaya tayo lahat. Kasi wala naman panalo rito at the end of the day. Talagang kami, mga Muslim, innocent civilian, ayaw namin ng gera.
We're looking forward na sana maayos ma-rehabilitate agad ang city namin in a sense na mabigyan ng pagkakataon yung mga walang hanap buhay na walang babalikan, and also shelters para sa kanila.
Nagbibigay kami ng kanduri, yung nagpapakain, para sa magdudua ng ostado kay mga imam o yung mga religious.
So kailan kaya yun, ma'am, gagawin?
Siguro pagbalik nila yung totally nakabalik na sila ng Marawi.
Mali says the community will offer prayers here at the Golden Mosque for all the civilians and soldiers who perished during the war and all the other soldiers who fought hard to regain Marawi City. Pia.
Makoy Popioco there reporting live from Quiapo in Manila. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you again tomorrow for News Night, where we go above and beyond the headlines.